The New York Giants have a winning record. For the first time since 2016, the New York Giants can say that they have more wins than losses as they win in week one at the Tennessee Titans by a score of 21-20. It's Brian Daboll's first game as New York Giants head coach, and I'd say he definitely made an impact without question. But the story is really Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is someone who I've been very tough on throughout his Giant tenure, and part of it is because of where he was drafted. To be completely honest, Saquon Barkley was very good in 2018. As a rookie, extremely good. On a Giant team that wasn't very good. It was Eli Manning's last full season as starter. And then Saquon was pretty good in 2019 as well. There were injuries there, but Saquon was still good in 19, and then really in 20 and 21, 20 goes down, very early in the season, and that wipes away his season. Last year he was, he played a good amount, but he was just not. He didn't look himself. So there's two separate things here. There's Saquon and the value that a running back has, and him being drafted number 2 overall. I'll never really agree with that. But today, look, Saquon Barkley won the Giants this game. But what a gutsy comeback by the Giants, where they're losing 13-0 at half, and you're thinking, all right, here we go again. And for good reason. All right, here we go again. This is going to be another rough season. But they really, an inspiring comeback against, a Tennessee Titans team that was the number 1 seed in the AFC last year. Do I think that Tennessee will be there again this year? No, they probably won't be. But still, to be down, to have that type of deficit, and to go for 2. So the Giants score a touchdown with 1 minute and 6 seconds left, and Daboll decides to go for 2. And you gotta love that aggressiveness. That's not something that is synonymous with New York Giant football. New York Giant football is, it's very old school. It's very, conservative, vanilla. Not a whole lot of creativity. But what Brian Daboll brings is the opposite of that. And you saw what he did with the Buffalo Bills. Now, it helps to have Josh Allen, but I think part of the maturation process for Josh Allen was learning under Brian Daboll. And you can tell that the team really likes him a lot. But yeah, to cut that 13-point lead, they were shut at half. I didn't think Daniel Jones was anything great. Really a very bad interception by Daniel Jones as well. So I wouldn't say this was a win where Jones stood out in a majorly positive way, but he made some big plays when he had to. Sterling Shepard, who miraculously returns from a really bad injury and is active in week 1, makes a 65-yard touchdown reception to tie the game in the third quarter. So there was that. The Kadarius Toney usage was very, very underwhelming, and I don't know why that was. Kadarius Toney maybe played less than 10 snaps, no receptions, wasn't targeted once, but he had 2 carries for 23 yards and looked good. So I hope Kadarius Toney is in there much more frequently. We saw a lot of Richie James, which, Richie James is okay, but Richie James made a lot of mistakes in this game as well, in the return game and as a receiver. But for the Giants, the running game was amazing. You look at the stats. First downs were 19-19. Third down efficiency was very similar. But the key was the Giants' ability to run the ball. 238 rushing yards against 93 of the Titans. The Giants really bottled up Derrick Henry. 21 carries for 82 yards for Derrick Henry. You'll take that all day long. He really didn't do too much. And look, the Titans, the good thing is, from a Giant perspective, the Tennessee Titans don't really have much of a passing game. They traded away A.J. Brown. So the Ryan Tannehill-led passing game, you don't have a whole lot to defend. So I feel like in that case, Adoree Jackson naturally is going to do well against the top corner of the top receiver of the Titans, but also Aaron Robinson, who I think will be exposed. But this matchup kind of worked out well for the Giants in terms of the Titans' strengths and weaknesses. The Giants were definitely able to take advantage of that. So, in this one, no Kayvon Thibodeau, no Azeez Ojulari, and that was huge in terms of Giants really what did they get? One sack? I think the Giants had one sack on the day. Yes, and it was Timon Fox who got that sack. And I got to be honest with you, I don't even really remember that sack at all that well. I'm trying to remember what point in time it was. So the point is, and Wink Martindale blitzed, but it still didn't really have the desired effect. I mean, I guess if nothing else, it caused Tannehill to get rid of the ball quickly, but they really weren't able to get home. So there weren't that many defensive standouts. I thought Jihad Ward, had a pretty active game and was pretty good in the run. So I like Jihad Ward. I think, when you look at the inside linebackers for the Giants, Tate Crowder and Austin Calitro were really the main guys. There was a little bit of Micah McFadden, but it was really, I had to look at the snap counts, which I haven't, but Tate Crowder and Calitro, that's a weakness, and they're not very good at covering, Dontrell Hilliard was really effective as a receiver. He's, the backup running back for the Titans behind Derrick Henry. So I think that's a bit of a weakness. I thought Darnay Holmes struggled. There was some key, Darnay Holmes took a few key penalties. I thought he got exposed a bit. But, you look at this defense, it's really not, Leonard Williams, you noticed him, but it wasn't anything crazy from Leonard Williams. So this was just one of those games where the defense kind of held strong. I thought, it was a pretty gutsy effort by the defense. But again, some ups and downs. So, in this one, it's about as bad as a start as you can have where, the Giants go 3 and out, and then boom, Titans' first drive. It's a 5-play, 45-yard touchdown drive, capped off by Dontrell Hilliard's 7-yard reception from Ryan Tannehill. So it gives the Titans a 7-0 lead. Then the Giants do get a first down. Wan'Dale Robinson, who I should mention, Wan'Dale Robinson makes his first career catch, but he would leave the game with injury. It doesn't sound like it's anything too bad, but whenever someone leaves that quickly, it was a quick rule out. But it sounds like Wan'Dale Robinson avoided any type of serious injury, so it'd be nice to hopefully get him back in there. While I'm at it, Kenny Golladay, just a complete non-factor. Kenny Golladay, the Giants' boundary receivers are really weak. David Sills, David Sills is a nice story, but David Sills is nothing. Kenny Golladay just looks toast. He just really does. And so Darius Slayton wasn't inactive, and I think it makes sense. Clearly, Darius Slayton being on the Giants is not going to last a whole lot longer. That much is clear. But I think while you have him on the roster, I think Darius Slayton's worth at least being active. I think that he's a better option than than David Sills. Who I think the David Sills story is nice, but I don't know. So Jamie Gillen, who that seems to me like a nice pickup. Gillen, who was most known as a Cleveland Brown. Lefty punter, I should say. I think he's a definite improvement from Riley Dixon. But anyway, Giants punt. Then the Titans go 3 and out. And then the Giants go 3 and out themselves. Daniel Jones is sacked a couple of times. So really the offense is gaining no traction. And the Titans then build a nice 10-play, 65-yard drive. And Randy Bullock drills a 46-yard field goal. And it's a 10-0 game. Then the Giants seem like maybe they're getting a little bit going. You get, a Saquon, 15-yard run. Matt Breida gets involved. And, I thought, in his short sort of action, he looked okay. Had some burst. Even Kenny Golladay gets involved on a first down reception. But Daniel Jones is sacked and fumbles. And it's recovered by Bud Dupree. And so that gives the Titans pretty good field position. They don't do a whole lot with it. Well, I shouldn't say that. They do. But good job of the Giants defense. The Titans settle for a 23-yard field goal, Bullock. And so that makes it 13-0 right there. Giants again have to punt. Titans do as well. And, Giants just, the half comes to a close. And the Giants are down 13-0, and not a whole lot to show for it, really. But you could tell, here's the one thing I will say. Saquon Barkley looked good in the first half. So you knew that. That was kind of the one sort of positive. Saquon does look good. But anyway, second half begins with the Titans having the ball. But and what's a pretty key thing here? 3rd and 1, Titans have it. And it's a direct snap to Derrick Henry. but Derrick Henry fumbled. He drops the ball and kind of falls on it, and they lose 2 yards on the play. So that was big to start the half. And like I said, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley was simply much better than Derrick Henry in this game. And so now is when things begin. Saquon Barkley, first play of the second half for the Giants offensively. It's a 68-yard run for Saquon Barkley. That's a great job. Brian Daboll, I don't know what he said at half, but it clearly worked. And the adjustments he made clearly worked. And that's the thing. I've had problems with Giants coaches where, if they have the lead, let's just say, and adjustments are made on them, but what was Joe Judge last 2 years and Jason Garrett, what exactly was going on? Didn't seem like much. But here, Barkley, with that long run, then Matt Breida, he's able to get in on the action, and eventually you get a 4-yard touchdown for Saquon Barkley. So Barkley deserved to score, he does. And although there is, I'd have to look at it again, but I guess it was maybe a bad snap, but also not the best hold either. It's a failed attempt by the Giants, so they don't get the extra point. And to me, I was concerned about that. It almost did cost them the game. It almost did. It ended up being no harm, no foul, but it stays 13-6 instead of 13-7. Then the Titans go 3-9 again. So the Giants defense at this point doing a good job. And then the Giants they only had a couple of big plays, but it was the Barkley run for 68. And then here, a 65-yard touchdown from Daniel Jones to Sterling Shepard. And this ties the game up at 13. But then the one spot where I was disappointed in the Giant defense specifically was, the opening drive. That's the first against the Titans. But then here too. It's a 9-play, 75-yard drive. And what was very frustrating was there was a couple of there was a 1st and 18 that was quickly converted. Next play, 27-yard reception for Burks. And then there was a 1st and 20 at the Giant 23, and it's a 23-yard touchdown from Ryan Tannehill to Dontrell Hilliard. So 2 touchdowns for Dontrell Hilliard, and the Titans make it 20-13. Then the Giants go 3 and out. And so I'm thinking, all right, Giants are going to lose this game. But the Giants defense then kind of comes back around as they're able to get the Titans to turn it over. Then the Giants punt, and this drive sort of ended on a Richie James drop. Richie James, a decent throw by Jones. James should have come up with it, doesn't. And so the Giants punt, but luckily, so Gillen punts, but it's a muff by the Titans, and it's recovered by Jason Pinnock. So Pinnock, who was claimed off waivers from the New York Jets, with a nice recovery by Pinnock. So the Giants have a chance to tie it up, but a really, really bad and costly mistake by Daniel Jones as he tries to throw a back shoulder fade to Saquon Barkley in the corner of the end zone, and it's intercepted by Amari Hooker. So 3rd and 7 at the Titan 8. At least you can get 3 there and cut it to 4, but nothing at all. And Daboll is in Jones's face, and it was a welcome sight. I thought about it, and it's that you never saw that, with Shermer. And there was less reason at that point. Jones was a rookie. Eli was there. And Jones had a pretty good rookie year, but in the Judge era where it was really deserved. Daniel Jones really you never saw that. And so that was nice that Daboll, it had a spirited sort of, talk with Daniel Jones. And it seemed to work. So things could have looked really bad here. But the Giants defense, again, is sort of bend but don't break. A really nice 3rd and 1 stop. Where the Titans lose 4 yards, and Calitro and Tate Crowder combined for the loss. I believe Nick Williams got some good penetration as well from the interior to cause this. But now the Giants have the ball down 7 with about 5 minutes and change to go. And this was a really, really nice drive by the Giants. They go 12 plays, 73 yards in 4 minutes and 21 seconds. And Saquon was key. Saquon, really a big play was a 33-yard run by Saquon, and he actually does fumble it. It was a nice sort of punch from behind by Fulton, but luckily the ball goes out of bounds. So that could have been bad, but Saquon with a nice run. And then you get to the 2-minute warning, and it's 4th and 1 at the Titans 17. but a nice play where Daniel Jones rolls out and is able to scramble for 2 yards to gain the first, goes out of bounds. That was really big. So the Giants were one play away from losing right there, but they get it. And then you get a 5-yard Saquon run, a 7-yard Saquon run. Eventually, 2nd and goal at the 1. Titans have already burned a couple of timeouts. And with 1:06 left, Chris Myrick. It's a play action. Daniel Jones to Myrick for 1 yard. Myrick actually had a touchdown for the Giants last year against the Eagles. He ended up actually technically on the Bengal roster for the Bengals Super Bowl run, where they lost to the Rams. But Myrick ends up back with the Giants, and he gets a big touchdown. So the Giants tight ends, there wasn't a whole lot going on there. Bellinger, I didn't notice him much. Tanner Hudson was in there. And Tanner Hudson, I think he might have made 1 reception. But either way, Myrick with that touchdown. And so now Daboll goes for 2. And it's a gutsy call, right? I mean, you make it and you take a 1-point lead and you might win the game. You don't make it and you're probably done, barring, some sort of onside kick miracle situation. But they do get it. And it's Daniel Jones with a little pitch play to Saquon Barkley. And Barkley made this play. Barkley, saw the defender, sort of avoided him, and then he just trucked his way through. It was such an impressive, the way Saquon did it today was so impressive. I can't give him enough credit. So the Giants take a 21-20 lead. But of course, and this isn't really a fault of the Giants, but it's just the facts. This was a classic sort of Giant game where you figure, all right, the Giants are going to lose this 23-21, and they almost did. But the defense did okay. They honestly did. You had a couple of 3rd down plays that were extended by defensive holdings. A 3rd and 4 where Austin Calitro holds, and then a 3rd and 4 where Darnay Holmes holds. And so then the big play is Tannehill to Phillips for 21 yards to the Giant 27. He beat Darnay Holmes. Like I said, for Darnay, I thought it wasn't a great game for him. And so then the Titans basically are ready to get this field goal. 4 seconds to go. At the ball at the 29 of the Giants, and it's Randy Bullock, who had spent a very short amount of time with the Giants. I don't remember. It was within the last 5 or 6 years. Randy Bullock, a couple of games with the Giants. But Bullock misses. He goes wide left. When he kicked it, it looked like it had a chance to go, but then all of a sudden you see it going and going. And the Giants win the game in dramatic fashion, 21-20. This was just really one of the best feelings as a Giant fan in a while. I was thinking about this. Obviously, from 2017 to now, there wasn't a whole lot. Now, 2016 was a nice season. There was a lot of – and the Giants, I remember that was a fun Week 1 victory. That was Ben McAdoo's first season as Giant head coach, and the Giants won at the Cowboys, and that was a fun win. But – the only one that comes to mind, and it was really mainly because of the ineptitude of the NFC East, was the Giants winning at the Seahawks was a pretty fun feeling in 2020, but different. Different. Colt McCoy was that quarterback. It was kind of just a weird sort of win that gave the Giants a chance in a really bad NFC East. So here, thinking about the NFC East now, so let's kind of focus in on that. Eagles beat the Lions. Nothing unexpected there. Eagles were in control of that game for the most part. It ends up being a 3-point game, but the Eagles win it. Washington beats the Jaguars. And that's another one of those things where it's in Washington and the Jaguars gave them a good battle. Jaguars, that game was kind of up and down. Washington wins. But the big news in the NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys lose to the Tampa Bay Bucks. Now, that's not the big thing, although they really looked poor in doing so. They only scored 3 points. But Dak Prescott, it looks like he might have broke his thumb. Whatever it is, he's going to miss at least a few weeks, and that has major implications. The Giants play the Cowboys in Week 3, Monday Night Football, home against the Cowboys, right there. So there's that, and then just the long term. The Cowboys without Dak Prescott. I mean, even with Dak Prescott, I don't really know what was going to happen offensively. It wasn't looking good, but the Bucs have a good defense. That's fine. But the NFC East, where's that going to go? And now, I still think that if we're being realistic about this, things haven't changed maybe that much. But with the Giants' schedule being what it was, this was a really big one of the Titans. Because let's just talk about the next 3 games. It's all at home. And here's the thing. The Giants have not been good at MetLife Stadium. The Giants, honestly, have been a better road team for quite some time. It's just compared to expectation, right? You expect to win at home. I would say in terms of you look at the records, it's probably about the same. With that all said, though, you'll have a pretty pumped up Giant crowd coming in next week. It's home against Carolina, who lost this week to Cleveland, home against Dallas on Monday night, who lost Dak Prescott, and then home against the Bears, who, give them credit, they did beat the Niners, but still, Chicago Bears are not seen as one of the upper echelon teams in the NFL. So, you theoretically could go 4-0. Do I think they will? No, I don't. I don't think that'll happen. But 3-1, that's not crazy. And what I mean is this: it'd be nice for the Giants to just at least be in the mix. You win this game with the Titans, now build on that. You're a small favorite versus the Panthers, and the Giants have not been. It's weird to see the Giants have not been a favorite in many games recently. I'm sure, if we look back on it, they have been, but it's not a regular occurrence. And look, they could be favored these next 3 games. I think they probably will be, and so that's the exciting part. But you really have to build. If you really want to be taken seriously, you have to build off that, and I think that they can. But would I be shocked they lost? Of course not. This is not a great roster, but it seems like they really believe in Brian Daboll. Saquon Barkley looks incredible, and look, that's like I said, an amazing week 1 win at the Titans, and it's just nice for the Giants to finally have a winning record. It's nice to finally be excited, even though knowing that the season, this is not a playoff team. I'm still keeping things in check. The thing that makes it interesting is this Dak Prescott situation, combined with the fact that the Giants really do have a very easy schedule, as we see it now. But a lot can change. But there are wins on that schedule. There's just no doubt about it. So again, Giants with an exciting comfort-behind victory. They win 21-20 at the Tennessee Titans, and now they will head home for their first home game to take on the Carolina Panthers.